Just wanted to make a quick video to celebrate and congratulate the release of Mac Miller's Faces onto streaming. I'm so glad that we've went this route with Mac Miller and his legacy. Mac being one of my favorite rappers of all time, if not my favorite. I have watching movies of the sound off in the back framed. It's never coming out. And I'm so glad instead of getting this massive influx of posthumous releases and posthumous songs that possibly may have not been released with the right intentions, released for monetary reasons, or to capitalize off a rapper's death that we have seen so many times. With Mac Miller's albums and legacy, this is being treated so fantastically. And what better way to appreciate and celebrate Mac Miller as such an amazing rapper, producer, and artist than to go back a little bit further in his discography where he was starting to flourish even more as this amazing artist. And we got these great tastes of it on Watching Movies with the Sound Off. Faces was that transition period, and as you could hear off the documentary, like, he was constantly touring. And after the tour, it was pure silence because he was working in the studio on this mixtape. And Mac Miller lived to make music. He was constantly making music. There's tons of music apparently vaulted. And it just goes to show how much he cared about his craft, cared about putting quality music out. And this mixtape is such a great example of that. And I think the great thing about this mixtape, while the lyrical content is fantastic, there's so many quotables. I know there is one quotable about God wanting to be us and we want to be like God. I think it's on Inside Outside. And then there's the other line that really caught me off guard after listening to it, where it's Mac Miller's friends want to be cops, but they can't find the G spot, which, if you can really think about that, that's such a funny and crazy good line, and there's so many more I can think of. But the big thing that stands out to me with Faces, especially going back to it, being a lot more analytical, being a lot more appreciative of production, lyricism, flows, all this kind of stuff. The production on this album is just gorgeous. And it gives kind of this lounge kind of feel, this nice relaxing, comfortable feeling. And what it really reminds me of, and while Mac Miller wasn't around at this time, while I wasn't listening to Mac Miller at this time, was when I was in middle school, high school, where you would go over to someone's house, whether it be a sleepover or just a late nighter, and you would have the lights down low, you're watching movies, you're watching video games, you're playing video games with your friends, and just having a good time. And this album brings back memories. It brings back amazing times that I had growing up. And it's so cool to think now that Mac Miller really really grew up with me, basically. And every stage of my life, especially going into my later adult years, like, Mac Miller has found a place in each part of that life, each part of my life. And I wish I would have had this around when I was younger, and I wish I had the ability to listen to rap music when I was younger, even though I grew up in a Christian household and I wasn't really allowed to listen to secular rap music. I wish I would have had this in my library. And I'm so thankful for Mac Miller for coming into my life and being introduced to Mac Miller. And it's sad that we aren't getting any more content or any more of an evolution that we saw from Circles. It's sad. It's tough. Like, one of my favorite artists of all time, and when I heard that he passed, it hit me like a truck, and I couldn't even fathom that it happened, and I still can't, because his music has lived on so much. All of his albums are just pure quality to me. They all carry different sounds, they carry different vibes, they carry different concepts. And being able to go back to Faces makes me want to go back through his discography, and I found it pretty hard to listen to Mac Miller's music for a little while now. because it brings that realization to me that Mac Miller is gone, unfortunately. And every time I try to listen to Mac Miller, it's hard because I just wish he was still here. I wish I would be able to hear this amazing evolution that he was going on. And he was so young and he had so much more potential, and he was climbing up as well. Like, people were recognizing Mac. People were recognizing the artistry, the craft, the amount of care that he took into his projects. People were starting to recognize it. And it's sad. It was sad. But coming back to Faces, seeing that Faces has been released to streaming, it gives me this kind of nice warm feeling that Mac Miller had fun music. He had this contemplative music, but it's important to recognize what Mac Miller left behind. It's important to recognize what Mac Miller left behind for us. All this quality content, all this quality music across different subgenres of rap and even different genres entirely. And now, with a lot of people starting to recognize Mac Miller more, what better place to start for some people than to go back and listen to a really fun project, a really comfortable and really relaxing project. And I'm happy it's on streaming. I'm happy that Mac Miller is living on like this. So many people are being introduced to Mac Miller, not through these scummy tactics of other people. He's being introduced because of the quality that he put out. And again, I just want to congratulate and celebrate the release of this. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. I really miss Mac Miller a ton. And if we don't get any more projects, that's totally fine. If we keep getting remasters of all this stuff to bring more people to recognize that Mac Miller has been making incredible music for this long period of time, it's great. And I'm so thankful that in my lifetime, and when especially being introduced to music and getting more in depth with music, taking music a lot more seriously, Mac Miller was the first artist that introduced me to rap music and music in general that I thought I would never listen to, and to take a music a lot more seriously and to recognize the power, the emotion, and the passion that music can bring. So rest in peace and thank you, Mac Miller, for everything that you've done. And please give Faces a spin. Go through his entire discography. If you haven't before, please do it. It is definitely worth your time. But this is Sonic Spill. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.